Yo, yo, yo. Hi. Hi. Thank you for the alert, Toby. I appreciate it. How are we doing today? I think most people are actually probably on Max's channel right now. Just because it's his birthday. But I didn't want to cancel again. So, yeah, we're gonna be doing some emotes. We're working on the animated emote and maybe some other emote commissions. I want to get the line art done for. You have to open the though. Open sesame. So we're gonna have a pretty chill stream. I might end it early just because I want to hang out with Max and stuff. Let's see. What's my emotes? Stuff. Yeah, because I think we drew this last stream. Yes, we did. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I do have hockey today, but I just ate a fun size Snickers, so I don't know if I'll be watching. So I got approval for this emote. Let's open some others though. I want to open this one. This is like a point. The flat colors were already approved. But I might ask her to approve the what's the word? Oh, D&D is still going on, so just alert. I will accumulate shorts though. Fair. I was wondering, I like these art streams to be really chill. Like easy, no thought, just chill art, but I wonder if we should still join the voice chat of chaos. I don't know. But I think they're playing Halo now. So, okay, we're gonna do some thick lines. I'm gonna need to do extra, let's do sketch layers. I'm gonna have to do extra organizing for this one, since we're gonna have like multiple. Gonna be like animated. So let's do the thick lines first. Thanks for the lift, Micro. I appreciate it. We typically do 3 for the thick line, so let's do that. Oh, stabilize, please. I was like, wow, that was very wiggly. I've never done an animated emote before. I know the best way to do it is to get it rigged, but alas, I would have to get a rigger that wanted to do this for free. Also, I don't know how to do do art for rigged mod. I tried it once for a game. It was very janky. Some cleanup. So I checked out her Twitch channel today. This shot. I don't know how French works. She already has like really cute emotes. Like, why'd you enter my raffle? Your emotes are already so adorable. Sketch layers off right now. Came to lurk. Hi, Amber. We do love lurking here. It's gonna be a chill stream. Do you want your cool emotes? Yeah. I wonder if you have a Discord server. I would join it if it wasn't French. Because I do not speak French. Although technically people are allowed to speak French in my server because foreign exists. Getting all of it. Like this. They went to her channel and was like, yeah, sorry I didn't retain enough from school to be here. Yeah. I have never taken French. Actually, fun fact, in school, I wanted to take Italian. And Pirate Dad wouldn't let me. He said, you're taking Spanish or nothing. And nothing wasn't an option, so I had to choose. Cool. Better. Flip over on this side. Yeah, even though I'm still fixing up the lines, I think my line art is getting, like, better. I just need to figure out how to make it, like, pointy in the way I want it to. Which probably means just getting a better brush. But that requires time. And I have the time, but I do not have the... I could have chosen Italian later, but having French... Yeah. We want to make the hair super pointy. There we go. Okay, static lines. Let's see, new folder. Let's do the hair. Yeah, because I'm just making the eyes blink and like the colors change. It's kind of cursed. Yeah. The what do you usually use for the hair? Well, it would help if I would put on the eraser. Ooh. Yeah. Probably. Yeah. Oh, so wait, the sketch layer, this layer has to be at like 50%, please. No, let's do. There we go. Easier to see. Hair. Oh. I really like where I put the hairlines last time. Or if you heard Pyro Dad sneeze. Yeah, so like you see this brush, it does that automatic point, oh, excuse me, pointy thing, right? But it's not like the right point. I I don't know enough about Clip Studio. I'm still used to Krita, where I can do the right type of. So I have no clue. Probably, I might go over with I go over it with Corn at some point. I'm not. I'm very new to this art program. I still think Krita's blending is better, actually. I think there's Krita blending supremacy is in fact better. There's blending. Well, this one has more blending options. But... yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Is the moral of, if you get anything out of this stream, is that I am faking it until I make it. Yeah. Yeah. That's how it be. That line. On the bright side, line art for this emote. Pretty standard. I mean, there's nothing like too special about it. Come on. There we go. I'll fix up these lines. Oh, I think that's it for the hair. Nazi sketch. Fix these right up. Oh, so since last stream, I've watched the new Spider-Man movie. It was very, very good. I was very happy with it. But that also means I'm temporarily, like, completely infatuated with Tom Holland again. This happens every time a new Spider-Man movie comes out. Although I think he's finally admitted, I guess, him and Zendaya are dating. Kind of obvious for a few years. Tom Holland, he's so cute. Oh god, he's not only is he like a very good actor, but like he does a lot of charity work, and I don't know, that's cool. He also has a pit bull, and I love pit bulls. Me. Hydrate and slurp. Thank you for the hydrate. I actually didn't refill my water bottle. But I do have tea with me. I have barley tea. Although that makes me sleepy. But tea is essentially just water with leaf juice, right? So I am known to hydrate hourly, but I vibe too much. Good. I'm glad. You know, I see like all these memes of people saying, "Wow, my chat drowns me in hydrates," and I'm like, "Yeah, my chat leaves me out to dry." Only like the mods and a few regulars redeem it. It's like I would like to be drowned. You? Leaf juice. I mean, it is though. Like, I love tea, don't get me wrong, but it's water and leaf juice. That is what it is. I don't like that one. Sure you want to be drowned? Not like that. Not like dead drowned. I just mean like you know, drowned in water. One of my friends had to limit it because of me. Oh no! I don't know if I put a limiter on mine. Okay. There are certain redeems I did have to put a limit on. Like, one of my mods, Theo, is saving up for the bottle of beer redeem, and I just keep making it more expensive. Wildly water. No! Waterboarded. Oh my god. Waterboard me. But yeah, and the feather redeem I also put a limit on. I don't like this cart, like, paint. It doesn't look quite right. Especially this one doesn't look right. What? No, don't clip, huh? Don't clip anything. What? What? No clipping allowed. Oh, I'm gonna erase this. I would like small stabilization. Yeah. Pick up. That still looks here. Now I want the stable. That didn't really fix it. I think that's good for the hair. Face. Yes, face. Face, I think we used 2. Ah. No. Okay, that's okay. Nope. And the face should definitely. Okay. And I wonder, I think I used one for mouth? I'm not really sure. Great if I was on the brush. 100 bottles of beer? Yeah, so 100 bottles of beer is I'll just sing. Do you know the song? Because it lasts like 15 minutes. It's almost a stream stopper. Almost. Yeah, it's almost a stream. Which is why it's so expensive. Face, and then we want accessories and clothing. We're gonna use 9 to 1. Use 0.1. As much as I like working on these emotes, I'm kinda glad that this is my last one. I can't even imagine doing an order of 10 emotes. Time to erase. Layer. Drawing emotes, lots of emotes are not fun. Yeah, because it like, I have fun drawing emotes, which is why I opened up commissions for them. I think they're, but it's like if you're doing for commissions, you want to like finish them and get the serotonin of being like, yes, I finished them. But when there are a lot of emotes, when you have like a big order, it's just like, but I didn't finish. Like it takes a while for that finish them, so they're like always looming, I guess, until all of them are done. Here. I actually want to make a wiggly boy of me. I need to figure out how people make it, or if there's like a template for it. I also want to do bongo cat. Yeah, it's a Poplio. Yeah, it's a Pokemon. But it wiggles in a certain way. Special wiggle. Okay, now I gotta do the clothing. Oh, you know. Done. You know what, I'm actually just gonna do that. Let's do a one, I think. These, yeah. I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna use the line tool. And then not cheating if it's an available tool. It's cheating! It's cheating! It's totally cheating! It's cheating! Yeah, I know it's a tool. Cross. Hatch. There you go. I can't remember if it's... I have to pull up a reference picture. Type in... Okay. I'm on postpaid mobile. Go! Don't come to the stream if it's gonna cost you money, Reaper. Please. This is supposed to be a free platform. God. I'm doing good, but go. Shoo. Shoo. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's technically, I think this is technically underneath her shirt. However, with what I'm gonna do, I need that to be colored in. Not as line art, I think. Matter. What are we gonna do next? Ears, I think. What do you do for the hats? That's one. Oh, I guess we do two? Okay. One or two. There. The connection I'm getting is absolute dog shit. Milk! You guys really like that one, huh? You guys really like that. I think I did 0.8. 8? Yeah. Go, and then I know I did 0.2. That's it for static lines. So we're gonna make a new group and it's gonna be changing. If I can spell changing correctly. We want that visible. Add, we're gonna be open eyes. Oh fuck, I didn't hear it. No! There you go. And your stream isn't available and goodbye! Thank you for coming. Do like 4. Open eyes. And I'm gonna make this like 20%. See that? Half closed. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna duplicate this later. That'll be duplicate. Okay. Oh wait. Gotta duplicate. And then closed. Okay. I was wondering why none of it was erasing. I need to put this at like 20. I'll just draw one line for them. Probably 4. So it goes like that to that. Yeah. That. And then back again. I don't know if this is gonna look any good. And then add. This is actually static. We're gonna call this loading lines. There. Capture. Yes, I do. Oh, so they're typically okay. The line tool. What do I want? I want 4? No, I think let's do something like super thick. Yeah, one. I'll change the colors of these. I want it all showing. Do it where I had it. There you go. Right! Hi, Micro. And then we're gonna do the white border, but we're gonna put it on like 3. Yeah, except I think this is all kind of good, so. These lines are gonna be. Need that. Okay. There we go. I want this. No, I don't like this. I don't like this. Okay. There we go. Actually. Six. There you go. Okay. So now I have to shift them all over. This is gonna be a little complicated. I really have to. This. Yeah. And then that. Okay. That's loading lines too, so we have to do that like all the way around. Hold on. I wanna get comfortable. Get comfortable. Meow! Hello, baby boy. There's a cat. You cat. Okay, alright, let's do this again. Okay. Ow! Ow! No! 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 Now there are holes in my jeans. Buddy, no claw. This guy, come up here. Yeah, there were just claws in my lap. Ouch. If he wants to come up, he will. I have a little bed for him right next to me. And he likes hanging out there. How many times do I do this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. I didn't slip. Here you go. Is there like... Sorry, can we... Oh, start correct. I have an idea. Okay. Hold on. Use the fill tool. There. There. Try this. There we go. A lot easier. That one. Okay. Where? Whoa. Doing that. Oh, it's because they're the same color. No. There we go. They're touching. They're touching in. You touch. Okay. Hey, Dad. What's up? I'm doing tedious work right now. Probably wrong. Okay. 2 more to go. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for the lyric. I appreciate that. And one more. Yeah, I'll send her the flat colors of it. I'm just like thinking. Dead. We're just gonna get rid of all those, and I will do the flat color. I don't want that in Sketch. Add colors. Oh, nope, that's not what I wanted. I forgot I have to actually color the lines first. Oopsies. Add. One step at a time, Lily. There we go. And I think the ears need coloring too. Oh. Okay, and then face needs one. Oh, hello. Okay, cool. I think that's that. And then add. No, we want a folder. Static colors. I think all of the colors are going to be static, but that's okay. Oh, damn, I keep finding places that I've missed. There is one thing about this design that I am not the biggest fan of, and I'm glad I noticed it, because I probably wouldn't have, is that her bangs have two different colors in them. And if I wasn't like studying the PNG that she provided for me, I would have just thought it was shading. But it's not. They are two different colors. Realize I messed up on these. Yeah, it's interesting to say the least. I mean, it makes her design look cool. It does. It's just as an artist, I was just like, wait, what? Yeah. Make sure I got. Oh, here we're gonna have to do. Ah, that's not the right tool. Okay. I really do love the film. Say. Fill tool make my life a lot easier. Yeah, I know it would be like smarter to do the colors on different layers, but it's just like so much faster. If I was doing a more complicated animated emote, I might. But like isn't this isn't a lot to do. So I like this part. Separate. Doesn't make sense in it. I think I said it's 30. No, it's 50. Yeah. I could do multiply, but the flat colors. So what I'm actually gonna do before animating it, I wonder, because animating it's gonna take a bit. Because basically I have to make 6 different PNGs and then turn them into... Actually, I don't even know how to... I'm just gonna... Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna send her this draft as a color draft and then... Waited. Okay. Hold on, we're gonna go to just chatting room for a sec. I would like to not divulge my Twitter information. Here is the color draft. I have animation. I'm gonna just say I haven't started on the animation yet. I haven't started on the animating yet. Let me know if you want the colors changed. And then I want to go to my Trello board and make sure everything's updated. Yeah, so line draft's complete and I'm waiting for the flat colors to be. Okay, so the next, we're gonna do Damien's emotes next. Which I haven't even searched for reference pictures of it yet. Because he sent me a Google Drive of them, but I want them in a style that I like. Open. Yeah, we want a new emote. What? I don't even know what emotes he wants. I don't even know what emotes he wants. Wait. Okay. Probably should have set this up before the stream, but I got, distracted, by all of the, birthday stuff for Max, so. Okay, I need to check my commission. Let's see. I support. How do I read? I don't know how Ko-Fi works. Hold on. Where do I go to check what people I'm dying. Hold on. Payment history. There we go. There we go. Gotta go to Google Drive. And I'll share my screen in a second. We're gonna call this Damien Verde. And I'm trying to think. But let's just do the smile. Or I guess the wink. The wink one first. Okay. Alright, we're gonna go back to share. And then I'll get this. Need to download a bunch of stuff. Kinda, he doesn't look like Max, but he kind of reminds me of a little bit. Yeah, you know, for once I'm just gonna put stuff in down. I like never actually keep anything. But here we are. And then I guess we're gonna go on Twitter. You guys are gonna get to see, look at someone's Twitter. I love, cause like I know here you guys get to see my. Oh, she already approved them. Oh my god. We're gonna go to TV. There we go. This person is my inspiration, art-wise. I don't like tracing her stuff, but I use it as reference. Was tracing bad? Okay, so she does emotes for like a certain streamer that I don't like. I hate his content. I think he's kind of an asshole. But the emotes are really good, so we're gonna look for those. I should bookmark some of these. I don't. Yeah, him. I don't like him. But none of those are actually what none of those are the actual expressions I. Cause it's hard because a lot of these reference pictures are obviously female, you know. God, these emotes are so cute. I love all of these. They're so adorable. I really wish I could get my Clip Studio Paint to like do this thing with the thing, but you have to have XE and I only have Pro. No. You know, I wonder if I can just do the eyes like the same. I probably could just do the eyes the same. Yeah, you know, I might end up just doing that. Trying my best. Okay, so the expressions that he wants are a normal, like, happy winking face, which is what we're gonna start on. So leaving body, if I remember correctly, like, depressed. And then one with a raid sign. Thank you for the contribution to the music. I appreciate it. Spanish music. Is there a normal winking one? One? I don't know how to draw without references. Please. What about in here? Yeah, finding references is the hardest part. I mean, you know, I kind of like the way this one, the drilling one, looks. I'm not gonna copy it exactly. Oh, well, there's like a winking wave one. I could do that. I think that would be cute. Okay. I'm gonna take that one as a reference. There we go. Save as. I'm just gonna save it on my desktop like here. Okay. So we'll start off with that one. Open. We want to open. I need to clean off my desktop. Capture. PNG. And if he doesn't want the waves, that's like fine. I can just delete that line art on it fairly easily. There we go. You go on. No, not there. There you go. I only need this. Yeah. There we go. Although I am gonna check Twitter again just to like make sure that was part of the order. Got it. General smile and wink. Yeah, so I think that'll be fine. And I can make the eyes a little different. Yeah, so it's general smile wink, smug knife cat-esque smile. Tired, exasperated, soul leaving mouth, and holding a sign that says rate on it. I can pencil. Oh wait, I have to update my Trello board. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get to the thumbnail today because after I draft these emotes, I'll continue working on the animated one since that got approved like immediately. I thought it would take a bit, and it didn't. That's not a circle. Oh, those aren't circles. That looks better. Okay. It's not even the right tool. 5. I feel like the first emote is always like the hardest one to just because I don't have practice drawing the character. Oh, those are way too close together. No. No, I don't. Yo, Pyro. Oh, sorry, Big Otaku. I think I missed your message. Sorry for being late. Just got up. I'm sick. Dad has a virus. Oh, no. I'm doing okay. I wish I had 3 screens, because then I wouldn't have to overlap as many windows. Let's see. I think there won't be hair blocking the face. is like slit eyes like I do. Slit. I wonder if I should just do the eyelashes anyway. I like how this looks. No issues. That looks cool. New commission? Yes. This one's an actual commission. The other one was technically the raffle prize for 200 Twitter followers. I'm gonna do one at 300. I'm halfway there to 300. So I'm at like close to 250. I'm gonna try to do one every 100 until 1,000, and then after 1,000 it's gonna be every 500. How do arm work? I'm just gonna do a hand like that for now. I'll do another sketch layer on. God, I don't know how to draw men. This is gonna be terrible. Oh no, I don't know how to draw men. Shit. You already paid me. Okay, alright. I wonder, I might need to get Corn in here to help me. I don't know how to draw men. Fuck. I never draw men. I only draw pretty ladies. Yeah, yeah, we do. It's okay, I'll figure it out. I just need this to look like not cringy. Which, honestly, that's why I didn't draw Max for Max's birthday. That's why I drew Mr. Pebbles. Hi. I'm having a crisis. But we don't, how many spikes? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. This looks hideous. Oh. I'm so... Shit, we're gonna have to fix this, like, big time. I don't know what I'm doing. We do need a feather though, you're right. Let me get V's face up. There we go. We got a feather now. Sorry. Oh. There you go. Oh wait, no, we want this one on 20%. And then this one at... Okay, we can fix this. This is fixable. First of all, this actually needs to be centered. And what if, you know what if I made this higher up? And I need to make these spikes bigger. Oh, micro ice. Stay tuned for the fixing. For symmetry. You're just trying to distract me from my commission. That's what you're doing. There we go. Oh. Come on. No, stick to me. Why isn't it sticking? There you go. Ah. Ah, there we go. Oh my god. Maybe. Okay. We might have to do 3 layers of sketch. I typically do 2, but as you can see, I am dying here. Like, I will stop at nothing until I consider this cute, okay? And then luckily the beard gets blocked out by the arm. Yeah, this hairstyle is like my weakness. Don't know how to draw ears. We'll make this work. At the point. What does it look like right now? Oh, that doesn't look bad. It could be better. It could be better. You can, I don't know if you can tell by the voice cracks, how this is going. I will give this is a learning experience for me, so I will give the client what I think is my best, you know? Even if it takes me longer than an emote normally would, I don't care. Because it's good practice at the end of the day. And now we gotta do put the mouth higher up. It was like that. It's not going swimmingly. Maybe I made his head too big. Okay. You know, actually that doesn't look too bad. Let's see. The arm situation are... Oh, I do love me some rolled up sleeves though. Can this behave? Behave. Hydrate and slurp? Okay, we're on to the tea now. I'm trying to convince myself that I actually like barley tea. It is barley, and in Japan, in my dorm, That was the only liquid they would serve for dinner. Nothing else. So if I wanted to stay hydrated, I had to drink it, and I dislike it. But I convinced myself in Japan that I loved it through Stockholm Syndrome, and I can do it again. I can do it again. I don't know, it's not, it doesn't taste terrible. If I added like a shit ton of sugar to it, it's fine. God. I don't know how to draw hands, let alone chibi hands. Wait, if I'm waving, yeah, the thumb would be closer. Look. Oh, and then we want cuffs. It starts turning. It's hard because chibis don't have like neck. Alright, we're gonna do another sketch layer. Hey! How are the drawings going? I'm suffering. But it'll get better. It'll get better. Let's try. And this will be the line art. Hopefully I send to the client. Some stability here. Is everyone here friends of Angel? Is that why you all know each other? Cause I know that's how it told. I try to go to her streams. I love Angel. But typically either I'm streaming or like take care of my cat. Her streams are slightly inconvenient for me to attend. Sad. Everyone should check out Angel. She's cool. Fun fact. A couple of months ago when I was looking for artists, I found Elfie's commission card. Oh. Did you? And then are we all gonna die when better? I could be better at the moment is the correct. Okay, so basically I'm doing a commission for Damien Verde, okay? And very sweet. He's the first one who's commissioned me. And I realized I don't know how to draw men. Which is a little bit of an issue when he's a dude. So, we're suffering right now because he paid me over $100. And I need to get this shit right. Oh, now you can eat? Okay, Corn. I might have Corn come in here and help me though. Rougher is always the key, I think. Yeah, we're gonna... I don't think this looks too bad right now. no. Whereas the moment that I had seen her stuff before, there's a certain someone being portrayed in a Sailor Moon style. Oh! That was actually one of my VTuber goals, was have someone draw fan art of me in the 90s Sailor Moon style. And then Elfie was like, oh, I can do that. And then she just did it. I was like, wait, what? I didn't think that goal would happen so quickly. Yeah, Elfie's good. She needs to charge more for her commissions, though. I keep telling her that, and then she's like, but no one will commission me. And it's like, yeah, but you need to charge more for good work. How do ears work? I also don't know how ears work. I don't know how men work, and I don't know how ears work. Good questions, yes. Yeah, her emotes are only 8 euros. Which is insane. That is like a steal. You cheapy. No, that just looks like a sign. That doesn't look like an ear. How does one draw other gender? I do not know. That is a great question. Alright, time to Twitter stalk this artist again. Because there should be ears in here somewhere that aren't cat ears. What does she draw for ears? She just, okay, alright, okay. The ears she draws doesn't have any lines in them. That works for me. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make my life a lot easier. Draw it like that. Yeah. No, I liked it. I liked how we drew it the first time. By the first time, I mean technically. Too big. Okay. Hi chat. Hope this stream. Yeah, the stream's been. The first emote I worked on was going great. The more I draw a character, the easier it'll be. And none of these are actually gonna be animated, which makes my life a lot easier. The hair, the like pony. Most of the lines for the hair are gonna happen during the coloring phase, so I'm not gonna bother putting them in the line art phase. But that goes that. Oh, this is like a cool knot that he has for his tie. But I'm not gonna draw that because this is an emote and it's gonna be tough. Have the collar come down. That. The arm should be more like that. Detailing, no. There. I'm not really good with wrinkles either. You can tell there's a reason I choose like emote commissions. I've been wondering why the hell haven't Twitch allowed for VIP changes yet. I actually said that in Max's chat today. And mod badges, but mod badges we all kind of decided could be like a little problematic. That. Yeah, that. That. Okay, and now fat arm. Now fat baby arm. Mod makes sense to me. VIP seems a little strange. Yeah, it is strange. You're right. God, I think this looks kind of like dog shit. Oh, he has glasses. Fuck. Wait. Oh my god, why am I like this? Why am I like this? I'm gonna draw them on this layer first. I don't know how I missed those, if I'm being honest. You know, I'll draw them here, but we're gonna... A lot easier. There you go. I like it when emotes flood up my screen. Again? Wonder if I should actually... be bigger. Yeah, I love the wiggly emotes. I'll definitely make a wiggly emote for myself because so I'm doing Bongo Cat and I'm gonna do the wiggly boy emote for sure. Um, but I have to figure out other animated emotes. Actually, this doesn't make... This should come out farther. Yeah, Vango handsome cat. So I've been thinking a lot about that. I was wondering, I know some VTubers, like obviously I post pictures of Pascal occasionally in the Discord, right? So people know what he actually looks like. But I was thinking maybe for a stream I could have him like the same color scheme as me. I think that would be cute. So instead of gray and white, he'd be like I don't know, orange and white or something. Fancy. Okay, alright. There we go. One done. I hate it. But, I think this is... So, I gotta make a folder for... Folder. Damien. Where is it? Open. Save. The pain of art. Yeah. Well, because typically what happens is I'll look at it and be like, this is the best shit ever. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, this sucks. But, right now. Actually, you know what? You know what I'm gonna do? Oh, that's the wrong. Do a sticker. I didn't do this for the other emote. But I think it'll make it clear. I also typically do the final sketch layers in black. But thicker one. Ugh, corn. Corn. I'm gonna make sure you only redeemed. You redeemed 3. Okay. Thank you for the contribution. 2. Oh, okay. 3. I'll find the button. Ugh. There you go. There you go. Thank you both of you for the contributions. Oh, you just never like your own cooking. Wowzers, 25% complete. Yeah. You didn't see the community challenge. That's okay. Sticker. Kinda shitty. Okay. Despacito. It's not... Amber. I'm gonna get weird for a sec. I'm sorry. I know this is weird. It's easier for me to add another feather. Okay, there we go. Ah, wait. Okay, there we go. Hood actually got a sneak peek at Despacito, and I wouldn't stop laughing. I could not stop laughing. That song is going to be hell to do. Thank you for the contribution. Alright, it's more... I know no one redeemed to hydrate, but I'm gonna hydrate anyway. Time for this terrible tea. Nom 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 nom. Yeah, it's just such an embarrassing song. But I like jamming out to it. We're gonna do Damien Verde. Which one do I want to do next? Soul Leaving Body. That's a handful. There we go. We're going to decide. Yes. Unironically, I dig the song. Yes, I also... Alright, we're gonna go emote searching again. We're gonna go emote searching again. Let's start at the beginning. There must be a soul leaving body one. That's such a classic. Let me know if you guys see one. Perish. Spanish was my first language. However, I have forgotten all of it. Which is very unfortunate. Thank you, United States. Yes. Relatable. My comprehension is like okay. My speaking is dog shit. Soul leaving body. There has to be one. Okay, I'm gonna butcher this, but thank you for the raid. It's Steve. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, raiders. We're currently looking for reference pictures for the art in question. Hello, 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 hello. Oh, micro, you know? Zidwa 69. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Pyro Pack. Civ. Okay, Civ. Civ raid, yeah. Currently we're looking for an emote reference of like a soul leaving a body. There's the Uno Switch card. I kind of want that emote. Thank you for the shout out, Corn. Thank you, Cheros. Are we gonna ever? There has to be one. When reverse cards create. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we don't... I know it's, an unpopular opinion in the VTuber community, but head pats make me really uncomfortable. Yes! Like that one! But I want it in a style that I kind of like. Oh, a hydrate emote would be... No, it's totally fine, people. People don't really read the rules, that one in particular, often, so... But I might as well get rid of the rule, because no one follows it. But thank you, again, thank you for the raid, I appreciate it. Yes! That one's good too, but this one, so the reference picture that sent me was like... the kind of like lying on the ground one. We'll see. If we don't find it, I'll just Google. send me DMs. Yeah, maybe. I'm very particular. Not quite. Well, kind of the pain emote. That one you sent is actually another emote that he asked for. Oh, here it is. Here, we got one. There's one right there. I just need to take a little snip of it. And then we'll be all good. I think that would be a cool animated emote as well. Oh my god, wait, Sip. Put more of those faces. Flood the screen with those emotes, please. Oh my god. Oh my god, that little face is so funny. Yes. Oh my god. I did save it, right? Yeah. Okay. Alright. Alright. We're gonna close that. Cool. God, it's so funny. I love them. I love them so much. Yeah, make sure I think at least some of like the Automod stuff they don't. I feel like Twitch prevents spamming a little bit, but yeah, that was hilarious. Thank you. Thank you for spamming that for me. It's so funny. Okay. File open. And desktop capture. Here. There we go. Okay. Alright. Time to sketch. back to art shenanigans. Wow. It'd be great if I didn't make color white. Okay. Oh, you know, I'll do the finger. They're so funny. And no, let's do 4. Gotta go, doctor's appointment. I'll just get a call. Okay. Yep. Take your time. And then down. God, after listening to We Don't Talk About Bruno 350 times a day, thinking about how fun it would be to gather 10 people and make a single character. You see, so I've thought about that, but then you need someone to like mix it, and no thank you. Because I thought about learning how to mix music and make my own songs, and I don't want to. It's pain. Oh yeah, no worries, no worries. Thank you so much for rating. I really appreciate it. Well, interesting of you to stream at 5 a.m. though. Oh my god. But yeah, thank you. Bye bye. One, two. Oh, you know what I could do? I could make the glasses broken. That would be a nice little touch. Not that anyone would see it. An emote. Karaoke night would be scuffed because on Discord, no one would be there would be no right, like no one would be on time and on tempo. But multiple sketch layers. I'm gonna do the red one. No, let's just keep it consistent. Exactly. Yeah, always like that one. Just I feel like that would be just. Okay, let's down. I want this to be closer, I think. Bigger. That would be, you know, that would be an interesting stream, actually. Portuguese. I've seen German karaoke before. Portuguese. Alright, let's actually try. I really like, I know it's like the meme song, but I really enjoy singing Country Roads. I like that song. I didn't bring my music book. If I could do it. Perform it live. I am not getting these lines done correctly. So the entire ghost needs to be outlined. Hydrate and slurp. Thank you. Yeah, it is a banger. You know what, Mr. Deputy? You are correct. Hear Pascal's awakening. Cat, yes. There is a cat, in fact. I have a feeling these emotes are gonna look like a lot better when I color them and stuff. But I think a lot of his... I think since it's gonna be smooth lines in the final one, it's like using the pencil. Okay, cool. Mission stuff. Put that in. Okay, next emote we're gonna do. This one is gonna be a hard one. Oh wait, I got a notification. Hold on. Oh, no. Side going live. Wait, Twitter now. We go back on Twitter. It's so he wanted smug cat. Smug cat kind of look. I mean I have the image of smug cat saved, but I want to see if we can get like a smug. There's a Silvervale one. Yeah. See if we can. Oh, here's a smug look. We hang out more here in the future. Yay, I'm glad. We have fun here. The art streams are definitely a lot more chill than some of the other streams. So I know this is raining money, but gonna save that too. But it's a good smug. Yeah, thank you, Toby. I appreciate it. We want that. Yeah. This is the reference image I was given. I was always followed in the background, just came around because I wanted to lurk. And yeah. This is a good face. Okay, file. New. Okay. Damien. Better there. Smug. Yes, the cat is. Okay. You know what? Actually. I always love the picture of that cat. It's so funny, right? Yeah, this looks a little too feminine. Make this face longer. The longer face. That's how you make man, right? You make long face. Although I know long face. Yeah, it's easy. There we go. And then the eyes actually need to go bye-bye. You know what? The entire thing needs to go bye-bye. Cloud Kieran, thank you for the raid. Welcome, raiders. Actually, I didn't introduce myself last raid. Hi. That's what signifies the difference for you. I'm Pyro Lily. I'm a dinosaur VTuber. I'm struggling right now. Okay, wait. Thank you, everyone. Okay, wait. I need to. Okay. Pink Sake XO. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to Power Pack. I'm so sorry. Ozrap, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Power Pack. Supposed to be smug. I want the head kind of up. Then we go like that, and then we get the smug look. That's too low. Thank you for the contribution to the Spanish music community. That. That is really there. No, this looks terrible. Ah! Ah! No, it's not the Spanish Inquisition. I didn't say that. And thank you, Ran. I mean, this kinda does look like the knife cat, but it doesn't. Spinach time? No, it's not. Actually, I do love spinach. It's totally Spanish Inquisition. She only saying that. No! No, it's not the Spanish Inquisition. We're just gonna sing. Also, I'm sorry, I just looked over to see the giant whale lord. Oh my god. I just need to be thinner vertically. Thank you. Remember, I appreciate it from you, Corn, but remember, backseating. Yeah, that looks better. Fine, you were right. That kind of looks like a girl a little bit. Jesus, that one is a chonker of a whale, yeah. Yeah, take care of yourself, man. Yeah. No, it kind of reminds me of Iroh's beard from Avatar. He kind of has this going on. Angel! Hi! Hey! Hi! Did you end up getting hot chalky yet? By cloud high rain. Wait, but you can't have rain without a cloud. I need to look at the sign again. There we go. Did I? Wait. Okay, that one's fine. There we go. I don't like how I'm doing these emotes. They don't look good. I don't like how they look. Another, I can't spell it. You can, but don't give out our secrets. I did not. Oh, okay. Pop's good too, though. That's fine. That's acceptable substitute for hot chalky, I'd say. Yeah, so we're just doing line drafts, right? Even readable? I realized I missed a day. Paradox. Oh, I found a smug. Yeah, he specifically wanted this. This was the reference figure, the smug cat. The capture one, this one down here. This one I found, but this is what I was given, okay? The smug cat with the knife is what I was given to work off of. So, I think I need to make the mouth. Oh, it's that. I thought I had one, but I wasn't finding it. That's fine. Sorry, I totally got in the zone for a sec. Sorry about that. I hope these look better when I actually do. Did I forget the glasses again? Ugh. What if I had the glasses? I talked about this. What if I had the glasses broken? I need to stop forgetting them. Yeah, pirate art mode activated. Yes. Yes, exactly. Oh, whoa! Is that a Theo? I'll never not say hello to you like that. No. It is impossible to not say that. I just don't have it in me. A wild moss has appeared, yeah. You know, it seems off. Reminds me of Avatar. See, what I would like to do, I think if, like, someone just told me, oh yeah, I wanted smug and it had glasses, I would do that expression where it's just, like, the white, you know, like, the pushing up of the white glasses, that one. I would just do that, honestly. Oh my god, Max. No! No, I was gonna raid you! No! Max! No! I was gonna raid you, Max! No, I'm mad at you. It's your birthday, I wanted to raid you. But also, I don't think I did the time calculation correctly, clearly. Happy birthday. Everyone say happy birthday to Max. It's his birthday today. Also, make sure Courtney do a shout out. I was streaming for 8.5 hours. Yeah, but you could have streamed for longer. Welcome Raiders. I'm Power Lily. I was on Max's channel earlier. Robofish, thank you for the follow. Hi. Yeah, I was part of the Scribble gang. Uno reverse. Yeah. Yeah. Not sure why, I just had to find. I'm cool, that's why. I don't like this. Miserable job. Okay. You were playing Minecraft. What? I was playing Minecraft. Wait, oh, you followed months ago. Yeah, I don't know. Not really sure. Yeah, I haven't played Minecraft. No, this looks wrong. Why does this emote look wrong? Oh, hydrate and slurp. Okay, more tea. Oh, there you go. Yeah, welcome. Yeah, welcome. Welcome everyone. I hope you guys had fun playing Halo. Head is too right. I don't know. I'm probably gonna redo these, honestly. I don't know how to draw men, okay? I don't know how to draw men. I don't know how to draw men at all. No. Okay, let me look at the VTuber design though. Okay, first of all, I keep messing up on this. It's like more like that. Yeah, I'm not sure. We got 2 more emotes to. What was, we want depressed, I think was one, which is lovely. Which is absolutely lovely, but let me just check. General smile wink, we did that. Smug knife cat-esque smile, yeah. Tired oh, it's tired, it's not depressed. I mean, that's like kind of the same thing. Let's see. You know what this face reminds me of? What is has it goes like that or something. Like there's a face. There's like a face. I forgot what it's called. It has a name. Did I slurp? I did hydrate. I don't know if I slurped though. I'm like really... ADHD is getting to me today. Okay, we're gonna look for more emotes. We want... Oh, okay. Well, we want to get rid of Knife Cat. Open it down where it's downloads. Fired. What I was asked for. Okay, so let's look for emotes that look for emotes that have looked at. Probably should have done this all in one go. I feel like typically for your first emote, you want to make sure you have a lot of positive ones. You know. I keep forgetting to have OBS up. Well, the violent one and this one kind of looks like... That kind of looks like it. Positive ones? Yeah. For example, with your first few emotes, I feel like it's better to have, like, a heart one, and a wave one, and, like, an excited one before you get into depressed, you know? Or very tired. That's just me, though. I mean, people can do what they want. That one. Yeah. Oh, well, there's this one. Make this bigger. I feel like we're getting styled on by Rayquaza and my whole ass whale. Yeah. Colby, attack! It's funny. We want a new illustration. Union verde. Tired. And we don't need to show the pile of cash, so we can just make this bigger. Ahead. Take up the entire... Oh, doing this in black. I'm just gonna do a rough sketch first. Before getting deep. Actually, I think this one might be the easiest one so far. What time is it? Okay. As always, I forgot the glasses. Did I do the glasses on the other one? Just making sure. Lurking fun. Yeah, have a good time lurking. Hydrate and serve? Wow, you guys really are hydrating me today, huh? Oh my god. I just closed it too. Time for drown. Yeah. Okay. Missions. And alright, we got one more. Oh no, yeah. Ha 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 ha. Ah, you can't drown me. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha. Okay, yeah. Last one was an easy one. You say that. We should. I actually need to first. Twitter. Oh, ugh. Damn you. By the way, everyone should go, follow Chibi. She's a very, very talented artist. Which is why I used her as my reference image. This one shouldn't be too hard to find. It's just a raid emote. I'm gonna check the order. Let's check the order one more time. Yeah, it's raid. I wasn't sure if it was raid or hype. But we can find a hype emote too. I really should use references. Yeah, references are... God, her sketch layers. I think I'm seeing. Come on, I know there's a raid one in here somewhere. There's a nya, but I don't think he wants a nya. Nani? Oh, it didn't. I don't know. It's just Honk that's like this. There you go. Honk, no. I don't know why Honk is like that. It's just... Yeah, it is weird. Okay, no, actually, I can use this. I know it's not the right words, but... It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Open sesame. You're dumb. You know, I really want partner just so I can have more emotes. I don't care about the negotiation of, like, anything or the... I mean, like, the notoriety, I guess, the fame of being partner is kind of cool, but, like, I just want funny emote slots, like, dumb. That would be so... And I guess that's what I can use, Discord for, just to make a bunch of emotes. Vaguely, yeah. Oh, and then I could commission people to make animated emotes. That would be cool. Damien the raid. I'm actually gonna be My house is gonna be quiet for a few days, which is gonna be really, really nice. People are leaving from visiting from the holidays. Nice. Oh, hydrate and slurp. Oh, you finally got the points, I see. You know, you can, this is gonna be shameless, you can get more channel points. I think it's like 1.2 times the amount of channel points you'd normally get if you sub to me. Just saying. No, no one ever has to. Yeah, no, it's fine. I always say that because I find it honestly funny more than anything else. No one. I am here giving everyone free entertainment. There is no. Although I greatly do appreciate it. I'm gonna use text for the raid part, but for this, for our purposes, no, we don't need to. Kinda like where I put. What a great deal. Everyone should sub right this instant. Subbing addiction is real. Yeah, I feel that. For me, honestly, I stopped subbing to a lot of people, but I was subbed to quite a bit of people. Cause like, well, A, I want to support my friends, right? But also, like, ads are just annoying. Like, the reason I subbed to Max for a really long time, the Maximilian Archibald who rated us, is because I just didn't feel like watching the ads on his channel all the time. That's it. And, like, you know, I get to support a friend in the process, and it's just like, I don't... It's like an ad, like one of those, like, long ads were playing, and I'm like, I don't care. Oh no, I'm gonna make this a lot and like a ton bigger. Yeah, we got thick arms here. You can tell I'm kind of putting a little less quality into each one of these. However, I think for this, I just typically, at least what I did with the last emotes, I was trying to really like get the line art across. That's what I was trying to do, but with this one, I just want to make sure I got the expressions right, you know? Just make sure that the expressions are good. Lime art is paint, correct. Huh. Oh, shit. That scared me. Colby. Colby. Look at you. If anyone's noticing, I'm slowly choosing bigger and bigger brushes for. It's gonna be like, hey, these are. I want you. Ugh. What's great is I don't have to draw like the hair spikes at the top for this one. Okay. Cool, we did it. Art mode is one of my favorite trances. Sorry, I'm not talking! I'm trying to be present. It's hard. This is also the time of on my most streams that I just get sleepy. I'm not sleepy. But, I have to do something a little funky here. I forgot the other arm. We all experience that. I know, but I'm a streamer. I'm supposed to be entertaining. Although, I guess we can just have vibe hours. Okay, I'm gonna send this to the client, and then we'll do the animated one. Copy this. Let's go to... I don't want to share my DMs on screen. We're gonna go to the just chatting room for a bit. Well, I am talking with clients. The rough sketches are the correct. Let me know if you want changes. And then I go to my Trello board. I'm actually gonna change stuff on my Trello board. Black color. There's sketch. Oh shit! I deleted a card. Fuck. Ah! Ah! Okay, sketches. I think I can unarchive it though. Colors. Where are my arc? Is there a way to check all the archived stuff? No. Okay. I have to change my shallow board. Hold on a sec. Damien. Better. 5 emotes. Change labels. We want emotes and ink. Due date would be by the latest. I'm gonna finish it much earlier, but my due date for 5 emotes is a month after they were. We vibe harder. Yeah. You can't even see what I'm doing, so. Okay, alright, so we're going back to sharing screen. And we will continue on the enemy. Yeah. Okay. Now we have to do the shading on this one. Open up as reference. Make this a multiply layer. I want to try some. So we have this at 10%. Happen. It's a lighter color. Oh, interesting. Okay, anyway. This one at 10%. Have that on. Now I'm gonna do shading first. Then do lighting. Highlights. So when it comes to shading, this is where having your colors on multiple layers would be really helpful, because then I can use it as a clip. But I was kind of rushed, so. I gotta cook myself dinner tonight. I was thinking of making myself curry. But I wonder if I can't get this right, huh? No, honestly, I don't even think that looks that bad. Do you even... Okay, I was like, did I even do lighting or shading on the hair? That's underneath? No, no, I did not. Yeah. Dating is just... Yeah. Dating is, something. Definitely something. Okay, so this one's on 50%. Hold on. Do the 50. We go here. And we're gonna do 50 again. We're gonna... Light. Dating. Highlights. Oh, wow, you really are drowning me today. I might actually almost be out of tea. A little drown. Just a baby drown. Just a tiny bit of drown. Un poquito de drown. Dino do got a drink. You correct. Dino do got a drink. I think that looks pretty good. Okay. Alright, so this is gonna be the hard part. You know what it is? Eat, sleep, and drink. You're correct. Okay. There is a Pascal. Hold on a sec, I have to let him out. Hey you, you're so pretty. You are, you're a good baby. Alright, you're free. You're free to roam. Okay, there we go. Yeah, he left the room. Okay, alright, so this is gonna be the interesting part. Because I was stupid and didn't make this, an animation file. Haha, because I forgot. So we're gonna do this the hard way. Yeah, no, and you should adore my cat, because Pascal is very good. He's a very good boy. Okay, so Alright, alright. This is gonna take some finagling. Okay, we're gonna have that. File. Export as a PNG. Yeah. Okay. Okay. There's 6. Okay. Okay. File. I gotta make sure I do this right. Export. We're gonna call it 1. Okay. Right. PNG. Oh wait, no. On it 2. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna have it stay on close. Okay, alright, yeah. So export, I just want to make sure I do this right so it like looks good. 3. Yeah, Pascal is a very handsome gentleman. Honk! Okay. Export PNG. Empty brain 4. Okay, and then okay. Cool. Let me. We want to discard changes. Save that one. Okay, so yeah, we have. Okay, how the hell do I make stuff? We're going to cozy for a bit. Okay. Turn PNGs to GIF. Choose files. Open. Do GIFs have... You know, I actually didn't check how to even upload. Can we preview it? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna put this in download and we're gonna test this out. Wow, that's really slow. That was really slow. Okay, frame speed. It'd be funny if Twitch didn't even take GIF. I don't, hold on. I'm gonna check. Go to my channel. Because I didn't check that, which is stupid. Okay, emotes. See, animated. Yeah, it's dot. It's GIF. Okay. Download. That made it slower, I think. Okay, let's try this again. Let's make it 2. Oh, it's the delay between frames. Okay, I'm gonna, this is 2. We're learning together. Maximum speed. Yeah. Okay. All right. So it's in between 2 and 100. Maybe 40. Yeah. Okay, we have fun. We have fun here. Okay, let's try 40, yeah. Blink faster when there's something in your eye. Okay. You know what, I'm just gonna... Okay, yeah, it's gonna... I want it a little faster, but that looks better. Maybe 20? You want me to try 0.2? Cause I will. Okay, first I actually want to go to my downloads folder and just like delete these. How do I delete? Why aren't you letting me delete these? Okay. These files. Let's try 20, and then we'll try 0.2. Once we get it right... Oh, is that a challenge? Fine. We'll do 0.2. Fine. Fine. You asked for this. I guess the 0.2 didn't work, but this is kind of... a lot better. What do you guys think? I kind of like this. I think what we could do is we could add more of like... No, I think this looks good. Yeah, it probably did. that so cool? What does this look like? It's really tiny though. Let me make you tiny. Shit, I think we got it correct. Holy crap. Okay, we're just gonna close all these miscellaneous windows and go to the Just Chatting group. You get to see my lovely background. Yeah. Okay, alright. Cool. I'm gonna send that to the client. See what she thinks. Okay. Damien likes all of them, so we can start working on the line art, but what time is it? Yeah, we can start working on the line art. Alright. Alright. Alright, I'm gonna send it to the client. Okay, sorry. I'm proud of my work. Yeah, you know, I think we might call it here. Just cause I want to do Damien's, wait. Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm gonna wait for it to come out. I think I'm gonna call it because I want to do Damien's art justice, and I think I'm a little tired after working for 3+ hours. Yeah, we're gonna find someone. I was gonna raid Max, but he did bitch raided me. So now I have to find someone to raid. Oh. I'll raid Tara. Raid Tara. Fine. Alright, we're raiding. Thanks for the stream. It was incredibly fun. Yeah! We have fun here. Okay, Pyro Raid. We're gonna use the lurk emotes. Pyro Raid, if you don't have our emotes, you can always unlock them with channel points, assuming you didn't spend them all. There we go. Alright, make sure you copy it. Bye-bye.